All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and Pickle Crew Show with a little 49er video. Is there mutual interest between the Jacksonville Jaguars and Brandon Aiyuk? We'll talk about it coming up next. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We're also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass, 415-883-3030, marinautoglass.com on the web. Phenomenal company. And, of course, Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove. Call Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. Well, I saw this story earlier today that there's a mutual interest developing between Brandon Aiyuk's representatives and the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was reported by Kyle Posey, our good friend on Niners Nation. And, there's no doubt that wide receiver is a premier position in the National Football League, and Aiyuk's a premier receiver. He's coming off a career year. He turns 26 this week. He's going to have a long future ahead of him. His best football is likely still yet to come, unlike Deebo Samuel, who may have already played his best football. Aiyuk, I think, pretty confident in saying that his best ball is still coming. And the current price tag that Aiyuk's at is about $14 million for 2024, but he wants a new deal. And supposedly the talk is that they want a new deal negotiated after the free agent signing period is over, which – you saw what Jacksonville just dealt out for a wide receiver. There's no question that the market's exploding. You know that Justin Jefferson's going to want $30 million a year or more. The guaranteed money that we just saw Jacksonville give out is huge to a wide receiver. So where's it going? Where is this thing going? Jacksonville, the Jags reporter Mia O'Brien was quoted as saying Aiyuk's interest is mutual between the Jags and his camp, his representatives. So what would that really look like? Let's talk about that for a second. I think there's a lot of 49er fans that don't even want to discuss it. They're like, no, don't even discuss moving Aiyuk, and I get it. We all get it, but everybody's got a price tag. Jacksonville owns the 17th pick in the first round. So let's just say that the Aiyuk market got to an uncomfortable area. Let's say Aiyuk wanted $35 million a year. Let's say Aiyuk wanted $100 million guaranteed or some crazy number. So you never know. And the Niners said, well, God, that's too rich for our blood. We can't pay Deebo 28 and Aiyuk 35 and, Juwan Jennings a grip of cash as well. We just can't do that. We're a run-first football team. We can't pay 3 wide receivers. We don't think it's smart to pay 3 wide receivers that kind of money. All right, so then they're at least open to the idea of moving Brandon Aiyuk. And now here comes Jacksonville, and they own the 17th pick. And I don't know that they're offering the 17th pick or if that would be the beginner. It would be the 17th pick and a player. If it would be the 17th pick and that's it. Who knows? You don't know in these negotiations how teams value these draft choices. But Jacksonville owns the 17th pick. Could the Niners then get that pick from them? And if they did, what would they use it for? Well, I was looking at the latest mock draft where they look at, when they traded DeForest Buckner, they looked for a replacement defensive tackle. When they trade Aiyuk, are they going to look for an offensive tackle or is it going to be a replacement wide receiver? It really depends on who the Niners really like at tackle and at wide receiver. They've talked to all of these players for the most part and shown interest and interviewed all of these players. So I was doing a mock draft on the Pro Football Network mock just to take a look at who would be there at 17 if the 49ers said, you know what, we're going to trade Aiyuk, we're going to trade him to Jacksonville, we're going to take that 17th pick. Well, they could go with a cornerback, Terrion Arnold from Alabama. who I think could be a number one corner. They could go with J.C. Latham, who I would draft, the big right tackle from Alabama. He's there at 17. In this particular mock draft, they had Brian Thomas, the wide receiver from LSU, gone. They had Talieisi Fuaga from Oregon State, maybe the best right tackle in the draft, gone. And they had Quinyon Mitchell, the Toledo corner, who by all intents and purposes is a phenomenal prospect in his own right. They had him gone. So those guys weren't on the board when the Niners picked. But they did have J.C. Latham and they did have Terrion Arnold available to them at 17. All right, let's just say for the sake of the argument that they went with J.C. Latham. So now they've got a plug-and-play 340-pound monster at right tackle who's going to start opposite Trent Williams. So J.C. Latham is your starter at right tackle. Now you're picking again at 31. What do you do at 31? You could go Byron Murphy, the big defensive tackle from Texas. You could go offensive tackle again if you wanted to really look for maybe Trent Williams' future replacement right there at the end of the first round. Darius Robinson from Missouri, the defensive end, who was the practice player of the week at the Senior Bowl. He's there. My favorite guy, Rook Ororo, I think that's it. Rook Ororo from Clemson, who's just an absolute monster. I mean, if you can see the potential is just oozing out of this kid. And he was good this year at Clemson, but he moves like a much smaller man, even though he's 295 pounds. You could get him at 31. They've met multiple times with Max Melton, the outstanding corner from Rutgers, who ran in the 4.3s and is super smart and physical and just a tenacious edge-setting tackler against the run. And he's got 4.3 speed and he's smart. I mean, he's a phenomenal prospect. You could do that right there and go wide receiver later, or you could try to replace Aiyuk with another wide receiver in free agency and go with J.C. Latham right there at 17 and come back with a Max Melton or a D lineman at 31. And then you could take care of look at the wide receivers after that. You could go after McCaffrey's brother. You could go after Rice's kid. There's a number of guys. Malik Washington, I think, is a tremendous player from Virginia. There's a lot of good receivers. Xavier Legette might be there at 31, from South Carolina, who's 230 pounds and runs in the 4.3s. So the Niners have a lot of different ways they can play their hand. And it's really about what kind of money is Aiyuk going to demand? What kind of, how high are his demands? How much can you balance? Do you feel like you can balance paying huge dollars to the wide receiver position? And then how much desire do you have to have a blue chip offensive tackle or a true number one corner? Or even a great young receiver who's cheap. Brian Thomas is a terrific young receiver. Xavier Legette's a terrific young receiver. You can get probably Thomas at 17. You could probably get Legette at 31. You could go receiver there and go tackle later if you like Garrett Greenfield or one of these guys, Javon Foster or somebody like that you liked later on in the draft. So there's a lot of options available, but it really comes down to, his current price tag's $14 million, and they don't have to do anything with him this year, but they really want to upgrade their offensive line. They've gotten Colton McKivitz, but McKivitz is more stopgap. And in an ideal world, I think you get a J.C. Latham. J.C. Latham is 335 pounds, and he's just a blue chip mauler. I mean, he's just a 6'6", 335, and he just is a destroyer. Maybe you want to have an anchor on your offensive line like that. Maybe you want to reposition your money. Anytime you trade a player that's proven for a draft choice, man, it's a major risk. It's a major risk. Why? Because That draft choice could be awesome. That draft choice could be Javon Kinlaw, who's solid, but quite a distance from awesome. So it's always risky to trade the player for a singular pick. If I were dealing with Jacksonville and Mia O'Brien says the Aiyuk interest is mutual between the Jags and his representatives, great. He wants to be a Jaguar. I can make him a Jaguar, but I think I want 2 picks. I think I want their 17th pick, and I think I want another pick because I'm taking all the risk, and you're getting the sure thing. Aiyuk is a sure thing. The 17th pick, not a sure thing. And for that, I think the Niners should probably get a little bit more. If you could get a sure thing and a player that you like who's younger, maybe you do that. If you could get the 17th pick and a third round draft choice, maybe you do that. Is there a young player on the Jaguars? I mean, they have Christian Kirk, they have Zay Jones, they signed Gabe Davis away from Buffalo. They still have Devin Duvernay and Elijah Cooks. They want a premier guy, and who do they have? Do they have anybody that the 49ers, would want? I don't see anybody on their offense. Their defense, yeah, I mean, I'd love to have Devin Lloyd. But I don't think they're giving up Devin Lloyd. Maybe a defensive back. I don't know. I don't see an obvious player there coming back. So it's more like I'd probably want 17 and another pick. If I could get 17 and another pick, I would think I would do it. All right, let's get a word from our sponsor of today's video, Aura, right here. Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial. All right, thanks to Aura for sponsoring this video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the video. For the moment, Brandon Aiyuk still a 49er, but it sounds like the Jags want him. And we'll see what they're offering, and we'll see how this thing goes. It's really about money. We know the Niners love Brandon Aiyuk. We know they want him back. We know he's 26. His best football's yet to come. But we also know that he may want $35 million a year. He may want some ridiculous amount of money guaranteed. And that could be a deal breaker altogether for the 49ers and force them down this road to consider trades. And then if they consider a trade, would they trade him for the 17th pick overall? Seems a little low for Brandon Aiyuk. I think I'd want 17 and something in the 3rd or 4th round in addition. So there you have it. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.